Hello and welcome everyone. This is Shashank Tyagi from Edukemy. I hope this message finds you fit and fine. So today I'm going to take one question and we are going to discuss its answer. Okay. My discussion would include three components. One, I'm going to discuss the content which is relevant according to that question. I'm going to talk about the approach. I'm going to talk about the structure. Okay. Most of you are well aware about the positive side of SLAP. Many SLAPs have had positive impact on our lives, right? So SLAP is important for you in UPSC also. Okay, what kind of SLAP is there? Structure, language, analysis, and depth in presentation. So it means your structure reflects that your answer is comprehensive. It means introduction should be proper, there should be body, there should be conclusion. And within body, your structure should have multiple components if question is having multiple components. Okay, we are going to learn these things by actual practice. Okay, that is why we are having this series. Your language should be brief, to the point. You cannot use the kind of language you used in your school and postgrad. Okay, you cannot beat about the bush. Pinpointed. Analysis and depth. Since you are a student of PSIR Optional, your answer cannot be generic in nature. You know that from previous video, you already know that your answer should reflect multiple perspectives. It means if you're answering on democracy, then you cannot just wind up your answer on the features of democracy. Even if it is asking features of democracy, you should load your answer with certain scholars. What this scholar has said, what Doyle has said, what Macpherson has said. You should load your answer like this. Then your presentation. It is also one of the important facets. Presentation means important keywords should be underlined. If it is needed, bullet points should be used. If there are multiple dimensions and word limit is less, then you should know how you can include a small schematic on the side of body part. A schematic means simply a flowchart kind of thing. So all of this work needs to be done now. Okay? Because you don't have that much of time to show your creativity when you are in actual exam. Real preparation is before that. Okay. Now, first question is post-colonial theory of state. This was asked in 2020, paper 1, section A. So it is a 10 marker question. Okay. And 10 marker means 150 words. First of all, let's talk about the structure. Introduction, body, and conclusion. Many students ask this question, sir, how many words we should include in introduction? How many words? Then what should be included in introduction? There are two aspects. How many words and what should be included? If you ask how many words, then you should restrict your word limit in introduction from 10% to 20%. 10% is ideal and 20% is the liberal side. It means if it is a 150 word question, then what is 20%? That is 30 words. C-set ho gaye to. Now, so 30 words, you should restrict your introduction. Okay. Now the point is, what should be included? Many people, many students, what they do in introduction, they just explain a particular keyword. That's it. That is the introduction. And many people, they use around 8 to 12 to 20 words in just talking about political science as a discipline. When a question is asked from paper 1, section 8, topic 1, means unit 1, political theory, even from theory of state. So this should not be done. What should be included in introduction? How many words? I've told you. 10 to 20%. Then what should be included? Introduction is like a gate to your answer. It should include those elements which you are going to cover in your body part. For example, post-colonial theory of state. This is a specific topic. So in introduction, you should talk about, in brief, what are post-colonial states, why this theory, what is the purpose of this theory, and what are the different perspectives related to this theory. What are post-colonial states? Why this theory? Means this theory was conceptualized to analyze the nature of post-colonial state. And you have already explained in the previous line what is post-colonial state. Now, what are the different perspectives associated with post-colonial state? For example, modernization perspective, Marxist perspective. Within modernization perspective, you are going to, quote, Gunnar Myrdal, Higgs, Prismatic Society, Asian Drama. You are going to quote these books, and then in this Marxist perspective, we are going to quote instrumentalist perspective, structuralist perspective, right? So this is how, in introduction itself, we are going to talk about the what, why this theory, and different perspectives. And in body part, what you are going to do, since it is a 10 marker, 150 words, we don't have that much of liberty. So we have to choose one perspective and elaborate on that perspective in body part. I've told you that you have 4 perspectives, right? Let me show you the structure like this. What, why, mention, name, different perspective. Then in body 1, choose one perspective. For example, you chose a structuralist perspective, okay? Then choose structuralist perspective and then expand on that. Start with the scholar. Who was a prominent scholar in structuralist perspective? Who was that? Hamza Alawi, Pakistani scholar. Then when you start this body part, all relevant keywords with respect to structuralist perspective should be ready in your mind. What were the key ideas inside this structuralist perspective? And you should include at least 5 to 6 points with respect to structuralist perspective, and in a brief manner, so that it gives a sense of comprehensiveness to evaluator that you know different perspectives and you know the word limit, and that is why you are expanding on one perspective. And when you are done with that, since question is asking comment on post-colonial theory of state, don't you think that there are some factors which are impacting the nature of post-colonial state, and thereby it is going to impact the relevance of post-colonial state theory of post-colonial state. So it means in the end, you should link it with something contemporary. And again, I'm saying, if you're linking something contemporary, it should not be generic, it should be specific. When you are having specificity in your expression, it shows your understanding of political science optional. That is how you gain marks, right? I'm going to display each and everything. I'm going to discuss each and everything which I'm talking. Okay, this is not a pravachan. Okay, now I've told you what. So what में आप क्या लिख सकते हैं? You can simply say state is still having legacy of colonialism is called what? Post-colonial state. For example, India. For example, Pakistan. We were colony of Britishers and we are still living in legacy. Means our economic institutions, our political institutions are living under the shadow. Means something which was created by them. We are still living in that legacy. Some problems which were there at the time are continuing till now, right? Please keep this in mind. Many students I see in test series, what they do, they expand on, this what is post-colonial state. And they tell, okay, USA is not post-colonial state because of this reason. This is not asked. Question is post-colonial theory. That's why we need to limit our expression. Okay, and it is a 10 marker, not a 15 and 20 marker. Then why? What is the purpose of this post-colonial theory on which question is asking you to comment? To analyze the nature of post-colonial state. To analyze, okay, how this India works. What are the political realities of India? What are the political realities of Pakistan? What kind of power share they have between political institutions, between other groups, between people? What kind of interaction they have? Which group has which kind of power? So this is just one aspect of nature. Expanding on this, then you are going to mention there are diverse perspectives to post-colonial theory of state. One is modernization perspective. You can quote F.W. Riggs, Gunnar Myrdal, Prismatic Society and Asian Drama. These are two books. Prismatic Society, Asian Drama. You can quote the books also, or you can limit yourself to the scholar also, because we are in introduction part. We are not expanding on that. Okay. Introduction, then Marxist perspective, two approaches, instrumentalist and structuralist approach. This is how you need to, compress in your introduction elements of what is going to be discussed in your body part, which is associated with the keyword. Okay. Now you have chosen, say, a structuralist approach. Then a structuralist approach, I've told you, just start with given by Pakistani scholar Hamza Alvi. And where is his theory applicable? In South Asia, particularly in Pakistan, because he analyzed Pakistan. Then his key idea was overdeveloped state. Then expand on that. What is overdeveloped state? And you can have clear expression when you actually when you have a structure in your mind itself. That when a question comes, I have to explain overdeveloped state. I'm going to mention this, that in post-colonial state, what is found that their political institutions are imported, but their economic structure is traditional. For example, India, Pakistan, our political institutions, it means our public offices, Prime Minister office, Parliament, President office, CM office, our bureaucracy. These were adopted from Britishers. Some of these setups were established by Britishers for their own benefit. So these institutions were imported. So these were modernized. But when it comes to economic structure, we were majorly dependent on agriculture, and feudalism was there. Means big landlords having influence in their area in all possible matters. So our economic structure was more traditional. So there is a difference between the two. Political institutions became developed because they were imported from modernized nations, those nations who colonized us, right? And our economic structure remained traditional. So there's a gap. That's why this state became overdeveloped, right? So expand on that. Since the scholar is analyzing Pakistan, so use the keywords which were used by scholar. For example, specific historical conditions, like historical conditions of India and Pakistan. This made the states in these countries as autonomous, most powerful class in itself. For example, all of you know what is the power of Indian bureaucracy, right? That is why you want to join bureaucracy, right? Now the point is, so why bureaucracy is so powerful in post-colonial state? Because of our historical context. When the position of collector was made by Britishers, so it was touted like this person is owner of the state. अभी भी यूज करते हैं ना कि डीएम साहब तो मालिक हैं जिले के. So डीएम साहब तो मालिक हैं जिले के itself shows post-colonial nature of our state and thereby our language. Although the position of DM is of civil servant, he is given that position to do certain job. That's it. But DM साहब तो मालिक है, SSP साहब तो मालिक है. What is this language? This language comes from the nature of our society, nature of our state. And there are historical conditions to this. That is why we talk like this. That is why this is our political reality. That's how we relate to these institutions, these offices. So this was told by Hamza Alvi. You should reflect this. In power, the power in these societies is concentrated in executive and civil services. This is what I have explained to you. And when we talk about Pakistan, in Pakistan, all of you know the power of army. And that is why it is said that in Pakistan, there is military and bureaucratic oligarchy. Military and bureaucracy, they together rule. Okay? Politicians to aate jaate rehte. Parties come and go, but the real power in Pakistan is with military and bureaucracy. That was given by Hamza Alvi. That was said by Hamza Alvi. So what is the difference between structuralist approach and other approach? You don't have liberty to expand on this in a 10 marker question. Always remember that. If question is a 15 marker, then I would have said that just give some lines to compare at least with instrumentalist perspective. Okay, but we don't have that much of liberty in 10 marker, so we need to limit on that. We need to limit on what? We need to limit ourselves to that Hamza Ali said that in post-colonial states, state itself is a class. State is not instrument of bourgeois class. State is itself a class which bargain among other classes. Right? For example, indigenous feudal class. For example, if in Pakistan, if we talk in Pakistan, so in Pakistan, there were big landlords, so they were having their power. So state is going to bargain. When I say bargain means state is going to, going to do something for them, and state is also going to, put some pressure on them to get certain things done. The state is not an instrument, it's a bargaining entity. The state is a class in itself. Indigenous, feudals. Then we have indigenous bourgeois class. Means bourgeois class means capitalist class, which are indigenous, means from the state itself. Then we have metropolitan bourgeois class, means those bourgeois class which have connection to other countries, developed countries, modern countries. Right? So we have to establish a bargaining kind of, thing which was happening there as per Hamza Alvi's view. मतलब state of nature जो था state का वो ऐसा था कि state अपने आप में class and state is just managing this. Okay. So when you are done with this, then you are going to tell about Bonapartist nature of state, because this is linked to Bonapartist state nature of state. Means a state is a class in itself. What I was explaining here now, that was a Bonapartist nature of state. A state is a class in itself. A state is not someone's instrument. Right? When you're done with this, now come the conclusion. In conclusion, talk about the impact of globalization, civil society, and judicial activism on changing nature of post-colonial state and thereby on post-colonial theory. It is going to impact on the relevance of post-colonial theory. Let me tell you how. When you are explaining on this and when you explain this overdeveloped state, I have mentioned that you need to express base superstructure model. Okay. As you know, the structuralist approach comes under Marxist perspective. Okay. So according to Marx, when it comes to base is economic, right? Base of our society is economic. And then we have superstructures, right? Superstructures like political institutions, families, education institutions, religion, everything. Now the point is, according to Hamza Alavi, what happened in post-colonial state, economy remained traditional. It remained traditional. And when it comes to political institutions, they became modern because they were imported from colonial states, those states who, turned us as colony. Now the point is, this was a difference. Means economy, although a base, but it remained traditional and political institutions became modern. So there was a difference. So you should reflect this difference when you're answering this. Now you are going to connect this point with the conclusion. How? When it comes to globalization, don't you think globalization has transformed our economy, modernized our economy? So economy, base structure, according to base structure model, economy is the base. So economy was traditional, but due to impact of globalization, what happened? It turned from traditional to modern. So earlier, just political institutions were modern, economy was traditional, but due to globalization, economy turned modern. Don't you think it is impacting the nature of post-colonial state? Yes, it is. So you should reflect this in your answer, and you should not just write globalization is impacting post-colonial nature of state. You should show how. You're going to say that globalization has impacted, has modernized economy, thus modernizing the base in base structures model, thus reducing the difference between the development of state and economy. Then when it comes to civil society and judicial activism, don't you think due to civil society and judicial activism, there is limit on arbitrariness of our political institutions? For example, if you look back in 1990s, so at that time, what government was doing, what a bureaucracy was doing, public has limited avenues to put a limit on their arbitrariness. But due to the due to the kind of sensitivity we have kind of information we have due to civil society and judicial activism, judicial intervening. So what is happening? Don't you think this political institutions, which although were modern, they became overdeveloped, but now these facets, means civil society and judicial activism, these are putting limit on the arbitrariness of these political institutions. So don't you think that overdeveloped state, the conception of overdeveloped state is going to alter somewhat? Yes, right. So this should be reflected in your answer. That's how you mold your answer. I hope this video helped you a bit and cleared your doubt regarding to how you structure your thoughts, how you express them, and just let me know in the comment box what you gained from this video, and tune in for next videos. I'm going to cover another unit, the next unit. Okay, so take care, keep learning, keep growing. Shashank Tyagi signing off.